It is time for another Moment with Bob. "25 before the, I already said that, didn't I? Yeah. Tonight's Moment with Bob is entitled, Eventually We Always End Up at the Same Place. And this is a very timely moment with Bob. To wit, hey Mike, let's do a little thought experiment. Take anything you know to be a solid gold fact and have this fact not only be something you've researched the hell out of, but one that has also been proven over and over and over again to be true in your own experience. Okay? Now, how would you feel when you read news articles that say the exact opposite of what you know to be true? And regardless of how many times the false talking points are debunked, they show up over and over again as if they've never been discredited. You might start getting the idea that there's an agenda behind making sure that disinformation trumps your known facts. This has happened so many times before, I should be used to it by now. But as a tagline on the poster for Jaws 4, The Revenge said, "This time it's personal." I remember once, years ago, a speaker at a stop smoking seminar came up with what she thought was one of the best reasons to quit smoking. She said, quote, "Imagine how much money you'd save if you gave up smoking." End quote. Yeah, I got it. People addicted to cigarettes are simply lacking good money management skills. I realized at that moment the speaker didn't know anything about how addiction works. And later, when I asked her what method she used to quit smoking, she said, "Oh, I've never smoked. I just run these seminars." With my suspicions confirmed, I asked for my money back, didn't get it, and went out and bought a carton. See, I smoked for 44 years and tried to quit off and on over the last 36 of those years. I tried every smoking method out there except for the stop smoking drugs that could have nasty suicidal side effects. So I finally was able to quit smoking about 4 years ago, March 6, 2010 to be exact. My electronic cigarette starter kit arrived in the mail, and I quit smoking that day. I didn't really quit smoking, I just learned how to smoke properly, without the smoke. More flavor, less death. I spent a huge amount of time researching e-cigs before buying my first kit, and I've learned a lot more since. Here's how it shakes out. E-cigs work like this. A battery heats a coil that vaporizes a flavored nicotine solution. The water vapor is inhaled and exhaled, giving the user the same sensations of smoking. The critical difference between cigarettes and e-cigs is the e-cig user is not inhaling or exhaling smoke consisting of over 4,000 chemical compounds, of which at least 69 are known to cause cancer. People using nicotine replacement therapies like the patch, gum, lozenges, sprays, and inhalers have at best a 7% success rate. Smokers who switch to e-cigs have a success rate of over 70%. E-cigs are 10 times more effective than traditional nicotine replacement therapies. I think that's pretty damn impressive, but what's really amazing is the amount of anti-e-cig propaganda that has succeeded in convincing city and state politicians to ban the use of e-cigs in public places just like they were regular cigarettes. One key anti-e-cig propaganda talking point is the conflation of secondhand smoke from tobacco cigarettes with secondhand vapor from e-cigs. An article about e-cigs from last month's The Christian Science Monitor said, quote, "Experts say consumers can't yet be sure whether they are safe either for users or people exposed to secondhand vapor puffs." End quote. Imagine this. We're sitting in an enclosed room while I puff away on my e-cig. If you could magically inhale 100% of what I exhale, why, in 10 to 15 minutes, you might receive the equivalent amount of nicotine found in a serving of eggplant. The Christian Science Monitor hasn't published articles about the threat to public safety from eggplant parmesan, and the FDA isn't considering a ban on ratatouille. But we should all be extremely wary of e-cigs. We all know secondhand smoke is harmful, but we should know secondhand e-cig vapor is harmless. But that runs counter to the agenda. The fear-mongering propagandists are trying to persuade people that electronic cigarettes are bad for you. See, the deal is that if e-cigs are successfully demonized as cigarettes, they can be taxed like cigarettes. According to a BBC News article regarding the economics of tobacco, quote, the U.S. government makes 7 times more money from the sale of a pack of cigarettes than the cigarette maker does. End quote. A cigarette is the only consumer product which, when used as directed, kills its consumer. Cigarette smoking causes about 1 of every 5 deaths in the United States each year. The most effective way to quit smoking is to switch to electronic cigarettes. E-cig vendors legally can't say that to promote their products. But I can. I've seen folks who have smoked for 30, 40, 50 years easily quit smoking by switching over to e-cigs. Professor Carl Phillips, University of Alberta School of Public Health, said, quote, switching is so close to as good as quitting that from a health point of view, there is no point in worrying about the difference. Dr. Joel Nitzkin, M.D., the chair of the Tobacco Control Task Force, the American Association of Public Health Physicians, wrote, our organization favors a permissive approach to e-cigarettes because the possibility exists to save the lives of 4 million of the 8 million current American smokers who will otherwise die of a tobacco-related illness over the next 20 years, end quote. But those voices are ignored while New York City recently banned e-cigarettes in public places. The propaganda is working. You know why? About 80% of the adult population in the U.S. doesn't smoke. They have no reason to care whether or not e-cigs are banned or are taxed as heavily as tobacco cigarettes. They are the perfect demographic to have e-cig lies sold to them. They don't know they're being lied to, and they don't care enough to find out. There are about 44 million smokers in the United States, about 2 billion smokers in the world. The global addiction to cigarettes brings in revenues of about $500 billion US annually. In 2010, big tobacco profits in the U.S. were equal to the combined profits of Coca-Cola, Microsoft, and McDonald's. About 500,000 smokers die off each year, but big tobacco need not to worry about their wheezing, ailing, dying, but always lucrative cash cow customers. Every day, nearly 4,000 kids under 18 smoke their first cigarette, and 1,000 kids under 18 become new daily cigarette smokers. The billions will continue to roll in. The promotion and use of electronic cigarettes obviously could cut a big slice out of that profit pie, the profit pie of big tobacco. Big pharma stop smoking products, and the government would lose out on all those wonderful sin tax dollars. It's in the government corporate interest to spread lies about e-cigs. There's too much money involved to do something as absurd as tell the truth, regardless of how many lives could be saved. Sound familiar? Yeah. Same as it ever was. Again. Regards, Bob. Another Moment with Bob, brought to you by your friends at Offshore Drilling. You can read this at tvnewslies.org, opednews.com. Where else? Superbeans.com. And just any old damn place on the internet that you care to check out. A Moment with Bob from Bob Alexander. I'm in that 7% that was able to quit after about 40 different attempts by using what is it, nicotine replacement therapy? Is that, huh? What's it called? You've done e-cigs, Kathy Bay, and matter of fact, you've got one right there. I'm very proud of Kathy. She made the strict, not as a New Year's resolution, but just as a measurement of her determination to be healthy.
Oh, yeah.
E-cigs.
Yeah.
And the thing of it, I cannot understand, just like Alexander says, I cannot understand the insistence that these things be banned. Now, you don't smoke that many of them, or whatever you call it. What do you don't call it smoking them? What do you call it? Vaping.
Vaping.
You don't do that many, but I notice when you do, there's nothing. I see water vapor come.
It's amazing. It does look like smoke, but it's not.
Well, it looks like smoke for about a second and a half until it just dissolves.
Right.
It's gone.
And it's gone, like magic.
What a shame. But, where there's tax money involved, where there's profits involved by the tobacco industry and big pharma, why, let's keep the e-cigs out of the hands of children. Because if the kids get a hold of them, they might live longer.